Good morning. We start our service with a presentation. I'll say welcome first. Welcome, everybody. Then we start our service with the presentation. Susan Burr will come forward and present this rose.
This week, we lost a longtime member, Jill Roberts, and this rose is from LHH and everyone sitting here in her honor.
Thank you for this rose in honor of Jill Roberts, who's passed away. For our announcements, Catherine, if you can pull up the slides, we can read through quickly each slide. One, Blue Ridge Pride Festival. We need people to help sign up to staff the tent of UUs, the Western North Carolina UUs. The Asheville congregation says there's some openings. I put something in the update for that. Anybody want to join me there and help out at the tent, or just come to enjoy some portion of it on September 30th. Glad to see you. Then the tarps and tents, I've been told that the final collection is next Sunday, October 1st. If you haven't already donated a tarp or a tent, or you decided you needed to donate 3 or 4 more, the first 15 that came in were gone like that over at Sharing House. Power Up will be held on Sunday, October 22nd. Start putting that in your calendar. We need people to sign up for meals. This helps support the charity through the wintertime. And UUTC will have a sign-up sheet available for those who can sign up to do brownies. That's our usual contribution for the dinner. Everything you wanted to know about trans, non-binary, intersex, and gender expansive folks. There is an online webinar sponsored by UU Asheville and Gender Equity New York. It will be on Wednesday, October 11th in the evening, 6:30 p.m., and you can learn more and sign up for that. Great way to learn more about LGBTQ issues. Soul Matters, I'm going to be leading a discussion. Whether you get the packet or not, hang out for about 45 minutes or an hour with us as we talk about this month's theme of welcome. And if you don't want to come today, you can come Tuesday instead. Masks are optional. Again, we changed the heading of this. We've got people in the congregation who are catching COVID. This is a place where we have our air handler unit on for a great deal of fresh air coming in here. But yeah, you're sitting next to somebody who might have it. So, hey, maybe you want to wear a mask just to protect yourself. Thanks. Let me see if there were any other announcements. Oh, happy Bi Visibility Day yesterday to any people in the congregation, bisexual folks. Yesterday was your day. Now it's done. Now you're invisible again. I'm sure there were more announcements and great things that are going on in this congregation. I invite you during your coffee time to go look on the counter and see what kind of sign-ups are there. Listen to one another, read our newsletter and everything else that comes out. We are an active congregation and many different groups and things that are going on. We love the level of activity we've got going on this fall, and we're always looking for ways to connect, so this is good. Now with the announcements over, we will start our candles of joy and sorrow. We have one that's lit here already, a candle from Susan Slocum for Victoria Kerr, who has COVID-19. One of many. We also would like to light a candle for Tara McDonald. This Sunday marks 11 weeks since her surgery, and she thanks everyone who brought dinners over the weeks, those who contributed to the fundraiser that paid for a support person for her son Griffin's activities of daily living each evening. And there was no other way she could have made it through supporting the family in this. And other than a few setbacks when she overdoes it, she says she's healing well. She does still have 5 months of activity restriction time to go, so, and another surgery coming up. And I will skip ahead to the thanks to this church, the broader community, Scouts Troop 703, and strangers who have lifted up her family and taken care of them. She says, when I could not. Myotonic muscular dystrophy type 1 is a difficult disease to live with for patients and caregivers. And she says, when she, as the sole caregiver for 3 patients, goes down, life gets very complicated. And so all of you are appreciated beyond words. Let's light a candle for Chris Bell, who is in the hospital. And one from Tom Stanwood, who says, Joyce and I are on the road to Chapel Hill UNC Hospital, where we'll be asking you to light a candle for Joyce in anticipation of her impending surgery tomorrow morning. She'll be in the hospital through Thursday. Could we please light a candle for members in general who have undergone medical procedures and are in recovery? Are there other candles of joys or sorrows here in this room? Then let us light one for all those things not yet shared, perhaps held privately in our hearts, perhaps shared during our coffee time with one another. Let's remember how we weave the fabric of community by sharing those joys and sorrows among us. Now I ask that you do something ritualistically to recognize that there are people around you, people who have inherent worth and dignity. Would you please turn to one another and greet each other in dignity?
I invite Susan Slocum to join me in these opening words. The words are of Sherry Woodbury.
Welcome, you who come in friendship, who long for genuine community.
May you be as graciously received here as your authentic self.
Welcome, who come in curiosity, full of questions or simply open.
May you embrace wonder and encounter new delights.
Welcome, who come heavy with fatigue, weary from the troubles of the world or the troubles of your particular life.
May you rest and be filled in this sacred space.
Welcome, who come with joy for flowing rivers and gentle breeze, for changing skies and great trees.
May the grace of the world leave a lasting imprint in you.
Welcome, who come with thanks for the altruism of the earth and the gift of human care.
May your grateful heart overflow and bless those around you.
Come, let us celebrate together this wondrous life.
And now, our opening hymn. Please rise in body or spirit to sing together according to John's instructions. Number 188.
Sit down, Howie.
Come, whoever you are.
No. We're going to start off with y'all sitting, because the choir is going to sing this through, and then we're going to come out and direct you in 4 rounds, in 4 different parts of the round. So how are you ready to carry your part of the load on this? Yeah. Play it through for us once. You have a hymnal. It's in the hymnal, and there's one right beside you. And if you want to see the notes as well as the words, it's number 188. Here we go, choir, sing it once. The choir's going to sing it once right straight through, then we're going to divide into 4 parts, just as we'll ask you to do later on. So listen carefully. 1, 2, sing. Come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is the caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. Come, whoever you are. Come, whoever you are. God's church, whoever is leading. Ours is the caravan of despair. Come, yet again, whoever you are. Come, whoever you speak. Ours is the caravan lover of leaving. Ours is the caravan of despair. Come, yet again, Okay, got it? Okay, now the one part, you all over here have got a heavy load to carry. There's not but 13 of you, or whatever the count is, so it means that everybody has to sing out nice and strong. You hear me, pop in? Okay, let's stand up and do it. Oh, yeah, let's go out. Yeah, yeah.
So John,
Yes.
how about the last 2 rows be the 4th row? Because there's so many people on this side. Ian says it sounds like a good idea.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we're going to split this side up into the first 3 rows be the 3rd part, and then the last 2 rows be the 4th part. Who's leading? Who's leading the 3 here? Y'all are leading, 1 and 2, and who's 3? Somebody's got to come out here and be 3. Yeah, come on, be 3 here. Yeah. Okay, we're going to sing it all together, just like the choir. We're going to sing it all together, and then we'll divide up into rounds. 1 will start, and then 2 will come in, and then 3, and then 4. We'll do it 3 times together as a round. Got it? Here, and the note is this one. All together in unison. 1, 2, 6. Whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is the caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. First group, sing. Second group, sing. Come.
Our chalice sliding words are on the screen, so if you'll join me in reading these words. We light our flaming chalice as a beloved people, united in love and thirsting for restorative justice. May it melt away the tethers that uphold whiteness in our midst. May it spark in us a spirit of humility. May it ignite in us radical love that transforms our energy into purposeful action. This is a chalice of audacious hope. This chalice shines a light on our shared past, signaling our intention to listen deeply, reflect wisely, and move boldly toward our highest ideals.
We are honored. We are honored by the presence of all of you here. We're honored by the presence of first-time visitors, of long-timers, of folks who are kind of in between in some stage of knowing this place and being involved. Any time that somebody comes forward and says, I want to show up here, is a validation of our presence, our vision, and our ministry. For all these things, we are grateful. This morning, we recognize a number of individuals who have signed the book and taken part in our new member orientation since March, so in the last 6 months. And I will read names. Not everyone is here, but those of you who are here, please come line up across the front here. Alexia and David Blackwell. Gary Chodroff and Wendy Hillebrand. Marcia Coe. Jacqueline Fricks. Elena and Chuck Hearn. Nancy Richards and Barbara Janowitz. Susan Slocum from our membership team is handing out chalice pins for each of you to wear proudly as you go out and about or here on Sundays in whatever way you want to proudly declare your affiliation with this religion. Before you return to your seats, Susan is going to help lead a responsive reading, number 444, which will be on the screen, and then I will do a blessing. Yeah, sure. Come on up, Susan.
Have you got it, Catherine? Okay, I'm going to,
Read the blue.
this is what we did for the, okay, good. I'm going to read the blue, and then we ask for the congregation and the new members?
No.
No,
We're
just the
welcoming the new members.
Just the
They don't have to
congregation,
say a
please.
thing.
You relax. All right, congregation, we bid you welcome, who come with weary spirit seeking rest.
Who come with troubles that are too much with you, who come hurt and afraid,
We bid you welcome, who come with hope in your heart.
who come with anticipation in your step, who come proud and joyous.
We bid you welcome, who are seekers of a new faith.
Who explore, who come to learn.
We bid you welcome who enter this hall as a homecoming.
Who have found here room for your spirit, who find in this people a family.
Whoever you are, whatever you are, wherever you are on your journey,
We bid you welcome. And now, as a blessing on all of you, may your thoughts be wise, may your lips speak truth, may your hearts know love, and may the work of your hands be blessed all the days of your life. You may be seated. Now, if you would rise, and we're going to have, will Katie come forward with the candle? Many of our families are off at the campout this weekend, the family campout. But we are going to light your candle chalice, tilt it sideways for me, please, Katie. There we go. And we will sing to you. Peace be with you and a blessing. Peace be with you and a blessing. Peace be with you and a blessing as you leave us now. We asked a good question this morning. We asked whether the ushers should bother giving the plate to the choir members. And the choir members said, of course. How about over here? Is it worth passing the plate over here? Yeah, yes? I don't know. You okay over here and here? Now, the interesting thing is, for those of you who are visiting for the first time or so, you will see people who will pass the plate on and not put a thing in it. Now, the ushers will come by and whack those people. Not this week because we didn't give you preparation, but some week in the future that might happen. Actually, no, because we know that most of the congregation already mails in, electronically transfers, otherwise gives to this congregation and the good in this community. So when you don't see someone putting something in the plate, just know that they've probably already given elsewhere. But if you would like to practice putting in an extra $1 or $20 in just to avoid the shame of passing it on, I think that would be wonderful. Should you wish to put it in the envelope for our special collection, that's for the family place, and this is the last week of the month, so it's the last week you'll have a chance to put in something extra for the family place. Your next elected charity will start next weekend. Now, with all of that irreverent way of asking you for money, we will now gratefully receive the morning offering. You have.
Hello, am I on back there? Okay, one of the wonderful things about having Nancy and Ben Potter in our congregation is that they have a granddaughter. And one of the wonderful things about this granddaughter is that she comes frequently and comes to church with her grandmother and grandfather on Sunday. And then sometimes she brings her fiddle with you. Or I think she calls it a violin, right? Yes, yes. And she is going to play for us this wonderful selection from a concerto by Vivaldi for our offertory this morning. Welcome, Jenna Claire.
you, Jenna Claire. Thank you, Dick. Thank you, Susan. For all that is given in love, we say thank you. I invite you into this moment of prayer and meditation. Spirit of love and life, we who are gathered here this morning, remember Jill Roberts, who is now lost among us, but not in our memories. Our hearts grieve for those who are no longer able to be with us online or in this room. The depths of our grief reflect the years and the times of great love flowing like a stream and carving out canyons. We pray this morning for those who are facing surgeries, on their way or just having returned from various surgeries and perhaps recovering. In particular, this morning, we remember that the Stanwoods are off traveling so that Joyce may have her surgery. And that Tara is still recovering from surgery 11 weeks ago, and time still to go. We pray as well for those who are in the hospital, for members who have undergone medical procedures. We pray for those who have COVID-19, our friends, our family members, our members of this congregation. In particular, this morning, we are remembering Victoria Kerr, who wanted to participate in today's ceremony. These and the prayers of our hearts and our minds we hold now in the silence. In the names of all those known and unknown, remembered and forgotten, in the names of all the helpers of humankind, we say, Amen. Blessed be.
Some of you may recognize what the choir is about to sing. And I invite you, if you're so moved, to hum or sing along with us, but make sure your own key. All right? We don't want any outliers. You're welcome to sing along with us, actually. The song is named Imagine by John Lennon in a choir arrangement.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as
Thank you, choir. Thank you, John.
There'll be a moment's pause while Reverend Bachman proceeds back to his position.
Yeah. I do love singing. Thanks for letting me in the choir. The reading I have this morning is from Mark Morrison Reed. It's called The Task of Religious Community. If you like these words and you got a hymnal next to you and you want to take a snapshot of it with your camera phone, you can do that. It's number 580. The central task of the religious community is to unveil the bonds that bind each to all. There's a connectedness, a relationship discovered amid the particulars of our own lives and the lives of others. Once felt, it inspires us to act for justice. It is the church that assures us that we are not struggling for justice on our own, but as members of a larger community. The religious community is essential, for alone our vision is too narrow to see all that must be seen, and our strength is just too limited to do all that must be done. But together, our vision widens and our strength is renewed. So the sermon I have this morning on radical hospitality is one that I admit has been preached many times before in many different places and many different cultures. When I said I was going to be preaching this sermon, the minister at First United Methodist, just up the hill from us here, said, "I have just the book for you, Reverend Bob." And she went to a library and pulled out a book and supporting other texts and things and said, "Read these." And so I skimmed through those. The book was by, and I'll try to get this name right. Those of you who are have come from a Methodist tradition may know this name, Robert Schnase. Robert Schnase ended up being a bishop among the United Methodists. And this book was 5 Practices of Fruitful Congregations. Here's what this quote says. Vibrant, faithful, growing congregations don't stop at practicing friendly hospitality, helpful service, or prudent generosity. Their practices are extraordinary, exceptional, thorough, and extreme. They are radical, passionate, intentional, risk-taking, and extravagant. Oh, those Methodists, risk-taking, extravagant folks. Or actually, if a bishop has to say this, it's probably the same for the Methodists as for the Unitarian Universalists, where, yes, we practice prudent generosity here. The idea is that hospitality is something above and beyond. The roots of us being hospitable to one another, not just the people we know, but any stranger, go back to what I've been told is pre-Bedouin times in cultures and understandings of saying we have to welcome strangers. We have to be able to provide for those who come to us. Oftentimes it was with food and water and shelter, but it could be any number of ways in being hospitable to those who just appear before us. In an article that I found online called Divine Welcome, The Ethics of Hospitality in Islam and Christianity, Mona Siddiqui posted in July of 2020 these words: hospitality has been a central feature of Islamic cultures with precedents rooted in both Byzantine and Sasanian traditions. The powerful motif in all 3 religions is the scriptural figure of Abraham, and Abraham who responds as a host to 3 visitors, feeding them and giving shelter, unaware that they were angels in disguise. By this act, Abraham inspired a theology of hospitality often echoed in Jewish, Christian, and Islamic literature and used as a framework for interreligious dialogue. Now, she goes on to say, Islam holds hospitality as a virtue that lies at the very basis of Islamic ethical systems, a concept rooted in the pre-Islamic Bedouin virtues of welcome and generosity of the harsh desert environment. The concept can be found in the Arabic root da'afa. The prophet is reported to have said, "There is no good in the one who is not hospitable." Remember that phrase from the Islamic tradition as I go further in my sermon here. Much of the Quranic emphasis is on giving to those in need, whether through tax, alms, or charity, as a way of creating new relationships, a new and more generous social order. That's an interesting twist, isn't it? We're being taxed in order to create new relationships. Think on that one while I get to my sermon. So anyway, generosity, karam, is part of hospitality and consists first and foremost in providing food. In the pre-modern and pre-industrial Arabian context, hospitality is regarded as something fundamental to that desert environment and nomadic wanderings. Even though we are not a nomadic people, although how many of you actually were born here in Transylvania County? Not me. Okay, semi-nomadic, we showed up here. But I know that among those who moved here, there are those, and you can kind of wave and raise your hand, how many of you decided that this was a worthwhile place coming to because UUTC existed? And if it didn't have UUTC, you might not have come here. Yeah. Come to this area because we have UUs here. All right. Why? Because you thought you would be welcomed here just as you were welcome to UUs elsewhere. Or maybe you read online that this is the place where the minister would stand up and say, hey, this was Bi Visibility Weekend, or read from the names of those transgender folks who were killed because of their identity, or somehow welcoming you for who you are in an identity that might not be so readily welcomed elsewhere. This is a place of welcome and hospitality. And we have indeed, on our Super Sundays, allowed anyone who wants to come in and share the soup that has been brought to us. We are practicing something that goes back to that Bedouin or pre-Bedouin desert culture of we need each other to survive. I would say we need each other to thrive. A radical hospitality in the context of the story that was said in here about Abraham welcoming 3 men. The Bible translation is a little different in each one, but Abraham had been talking to God and then noticed 3 men standing nearby and said, oh, come, and slayed the fatted calf, and fresh baked bread from Sarah was given, and all of this radical hospitality to 3 dudes who were angels in disguise. And what goes on from there is a story of those 3, or 2 of the 3, are going to go on down to a place called Sodom and check out Sodom. And Sodom is a place that Abraham is arguing. Now, don't wipe out Sodom. I mean, don't wipe out the whole place. What if there are 50 righteous people there? Would you wipe out the entire city? Their entire city would be gone? Oh, okay. We won't wipe out the city if there are 50 righteous people. Well, what about if there are 40 or 30 or 20? What if there are just 10 righteous people there? Now, in the context of how the Sodom story follows from Abraham, Abraham and Sarah were righteous and were rewarded. Abraham and Sarah were righteous because they were tuned into radical hospitality. And Sodom had one family, Lot's family, who opened their doors and guarded and protected the angels from those who wanted to rip them off, rape them, do whatever. Sodom was not a righteous place. in our society today, we misuse that story time and again. Sodom refused radical hospitality. Were there 10 people who welcomed those angels? Not according to the story. Were there 5 people? No, it was Lot and his family. And Lot did something absolutely horrid. Lot's named as a righteous person because Lot welcomed them and then protected them and said to the crowd, "Don't rape these guys. I will give you my virgin daughters instead." That's not usually preached in churches. In a city where it seems that radical hospitality is not practiced, where people are not acting well to each other, that is an extreme to the extent that we talk about Isaac. And God saying, you don't have to sacrifice your own child. I do not require human sacrifice. That's a biblical quote in there, paraphrased by Reverend Bob, okay? So in that instance, no, the daughters are not raped. And the radical hospitality provided by Lot saves Lot and his family, even though it seems really like Lot wasn't so great. Except he was labeled righteous because he welcomed in disguise those holy travelers. He provided radical hospitality. You are not going to find that interpretation at this hour in most of Transylvania County about that story. Here you get it. Why? Because we as Unitarian Universalists need to understand 2 things. One is how far we need to go to be righteous in our radical hospitality. How much we need to do. We need to give up everything we have that someone is not abandoned in this desert that we call our home. We need to welcome people into the circle, not just the 10 or so people that we named today, but folks that are out there that may not even have heard of us. We need to welcome any and all. We do not offer up our children as sacrifice. We do not make it that we would violate love that we have for one another or ourself. Notice in all of these hospitalities, no one is being asked to sacrifice their worth, their value, their lives for another who comes to them. This is a tricky sermon to preach here because most of the time I don't do this biblical grounding, this Jewish, Christian, Islam grounding in a story from the Old Testament. Most of the time I don't do this kind of story and I said, we're great people, let's just keep being great. But when I'm talking about radical hospitality, I'm talking about what got labeled as righteous back in those days. It means something more, something deeper, something so extravagant and exuberant. There's a whole lot in religious traditions, it's based on the mere survival of a people. And I believe this is one of those central stories and pieces in there. That we welcome strangers, radically welcome the strangers. Somebody shows up in our door and that cow is dead. Somebody is baking fresh bread, hurry it up, we want to serve it. Somebody is knocking at the door to molest, literally and figuratively, the guests you have in your home, and you would say no in as many ways as possible and try to distract them and send them away. Even if you're not a perfect person, like Lot. I don't know the number of examples that this congregation had before I arrived, but I know the examples since. We have had homeless folks at our door, literally. And we've had some disconcerting feelings about those folks sometimes. But I wonder if an angel was to show up looking, talking, smelling like a homeless person, whether we would be radical enough to give that angel enough that we would be labeled righteous. Not just kind, not just friendly, but radically welcoming. We're on our way. I've seen that we're on our way. But we need more. How many of you read in the Transylvania Times the letter to the editor that I signed along with so many of my other colleagues in the community? So we saw, what was brought to our attention was a sticker that had been placed on a walk signal just a few blocks. We could walk there from here, which was apparently bought from a KKK website store, saying stuff about black people and gay people. And when it came to the attention of religious community here, we say, this is not acceptable. And we wrote it in the newspaper. This is not acceptable. This is not acceptable. The next step would be for us to say, all are welcome. And I think that's in that message. But each of our congregations having the ability to have the messages so resounding throughout this community, those who would want to put up such stickers might realize they are not among the righteous. They have inherent worth and dignity. But that is not showing radical welcome. I've spoken far too little on this subject. I've spoken far too long in this hour on this subject. I invite you to consider and deepen your practice of welcome. Expand your prudent generosity into something wild and generous. Thank you. Blessings on all of you. May we prayerfully then close this sermon topic, but open our service to the world with Spirit of Life, number 123. Please rise and sing as you're willing and able. extinguish this chalice and this helper candle, we carry the flame and the warmth of this place with us as we go out. May we, wherever we are in our homes or out and about, remember to practice radical hospitality, to invite others in. Because with that glow in our hearts, we might be the message into the world that so desperately needs to know. We know that each of us is needed for us to survive. Blessed be. Amen. Because Jenna Claire is doing a duet with Carlene.